Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. Today we're going to do a review of a game by Uwe Rosenberg called Reykholt. Reykholt is Icelandic. That's right. There is a festival of, beautiful Iceland, tourism, natural wonders. The idea is that you are feeding these people at tables, grandiose tables. Uh, your vegetables matter, so why don't we just roll into why the vegetables matter? So let's take a look at what comes inside Reykholt. Well, you have a box. Beautiful artwork. I have to say, this is stunning artwork. I kind of want to just take the front box of this and put it in a painting on my wall. What you get is a main player board. This is the 2-player version. You can also do the 3 and 4-player version by flipping it over, and you have static actions selection mechanism here. You've got 12 different actions to play. There are really fancy tokens, nice little fancy dancy tomatoes and lettuce and mushrooms and carrots and cauliflower. You have turn order markers here for the various turns. I believe 7, sometimes 8 in story mode. You have special cards. These are called service cards that you can take during play that give you little boosts and bonuses, as almost all games by Rosenberg do. And then each player gets three action selection markers with the various people and a round order card, a color card that gives you kind of exactly what happens. That's it. It's very simple. There are different banks of service cards, so you can select which service cards to take. There's also a, quote, story mode, end of quote, in the cards listed stop. So if you get used to this game and you want to sort of play a scenario-based quasi-story mode, you can. And that's it. Let's get into how the game works. So we're going to set up a 2-player game here, and everybody starts with pretty much the shirt off their back and 3 action selection mechanisms, and this is some manager thing, but guzzle guzzle. So everybody starts here on this track. This is a race. Whoever gets farther on this racetrack is going to win in the end. So yeah, that'll do. So we start off, and we're going to have blue go first. Blue takes an action. You're going to be very familiar with this, and the thing about it is greenhouses. Greenhouses are sort of the bread and butter, the heart and soul. I'm going to put that back because I didn't earn that yet. Of the game. You're going to use these greenhouses. You're going to procure them. You're going to fill them with goods. You're going to harvest those goods, and those goods are going to help you advance along the track. That's really the essence of play. We're going to start off with blue by, well, we can harvest up to 3 times, which we can't do now. We got nothing to harvest, or take a greenhouse. Now, I could take a random greenhouse, not knowing what it'll be. I could take one of these, and I'll take these. Now, these spots have 3, 4, 5, and 6 capacity, and they also give you limitations on what type of vegetables you can grow in them. So we'll set that there, and that's it. That's all we do. One thing to note is once you take an action in a column that has a flag, you can't take the corresponding action with a flag as well. So only the other player could take this one right now, but you can play all the other actions. All right, next we're going to take 2 tomatoes or 2 lettuce. I'm going to take 2 tomatoes, and I'm just going to set them here in my personal supply. Now it's this turn. We want to take tomatoes and seed one time. We're going to take 2 mushrooms, and I'm not playing optimally. I'm just showing what happens, and so you take them. It's all very simple stuff. And then yellow goes, hey, I can take a service card, and the service card says whenever you take a greenhouse, you may take 1 good of its rarest type. Ooh, I like that. We set that there, and we're good to go. Blue goes again. Now we have an opportunity to seed. You can take 1 tomato and seed 1 time. So we have a tomato, and we have an opportunity to seed. Now, seeding is when you take 1 of the tokens in your supply, and you plant it in one of your greenhouses. We're going to do that with the tomato. You'll know why in a second. Then, once we've seeded it, we get to take from the supply, not our personal supply, but the general supply, and we get to fill it up. Look at that. Now we have tomatoes. Gotta love your tomatoes. There you go. We finished. Now we have the final action of the turn, which is take one tomato and one random greenhouse. So I'm going to take a tomato, and we're going to take one random greenhouse from this random pile. Look at that. And whenever we take a greenhouse, you may take one good of its rarest type, which is carrots. Carrots are like gold, Mavis. Gold. And there we go. We have finished the work time. We've sent our workers out, and that's that. So now we do harvest time. Harvest time means we get to take one thing from each of our greenhouses. We only have one, but you can grow and have 3 and 4 and 5 and put them into our supply. Nope, nothing here. So sad. Then we do tourism time. Tourism time is when we begin to go up the corporate ladder of vegetable goodness. So in order to advance to the next spot, you have to give up those goods. So we can only take them from our supply. I'm giving up the tomato, and Blue goes here. Yay! Now, Blue's next step is going to have to be to get rid of a lettuce. However, he doesn't have a lettuce. This is where every single tourism time you get one bonus action. That bonus action reverses the spending and buying. So instead of having to spend a lettuce, you can buy a lettuce, or you can take a lettuce. Look at that. Let us be grateful. Okay, then we look at the next and we say, okay, mushroom. Well, guess what? I have a mushroom. I'm going to pay that and go up here. Okay, do I have a cauliflower? I do not. I've already used my bonus action. My turn is done. Now yellow's going to do the same thing. Yellow's going to start and give up a tomato. She too does not have a lettuce, so it's going to be lettuce time. And no, she does not have a mushroom. So that's where yellow is going to stop. And that's it. That's the end. And now homecoming phase, everyone takes their turns back. Oh, look at that. Glory, glory. And that's one of 7 turns. And honestly, all the rest of the turns are pretty much like you just saw here. You've got your vegetables, you got your greenhouses, you got the different worker placement things. The goal is to advance on. Now you'll notice as you get up that sometimes you're going to eventually need to have 2 tomatoes and 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So you're going to have to build sort of a nice little vengeance, in order to be up to these higher player counts and to try to be able to get as far as you can. In the end of the game, whoever's farthest ahead is going to be the winner. That's it, really. There's there's some variations, I guess, again, with the different service cards and, of course, the story, but that's the essence of Reykholt. Let's get into my final thoughts. Okay, we've shown you a small snippet of Reykholt. Now let's decide what we think of it, or at least what I think of it, and you can form your own decisions. Let's do the pros first this time. I will say that the bits and the pieces and the vegetables and the little like cardboard carts are very inviting. They're cute, they're charming. They really do invite you to this idea that there's a feast. Yeah, it does. There's nice little vibrant touches to the minimal components that you're going to get, and they're nice. Each one is, it's nice to see the little vegetables actually vegetables and not just different colored square cubes. The box cover is exquisite. Oh, it's exquisite. I plan to frame this. I don't know how I'm just gonna literally take the box cover when I'm done with this game, after this review, and I'm just gonna basically make a frame for it because it's beautiful. I just absolutely love it. It makes me want to say, I'm going to win the Eurovision contest, Papa. If you've ever watched Eurovision, watch Eurovision if you play this just for fun. Actually, yeah, anyway. There's a sort of a motivation of it being a race rather than the pretty typical for Rosenberg, the agrarian victory point mitigate or motivation kind of thing. It's a nice switch, a nice change in pace going, you are doing a race. It keeps it simple. There's generally a small decision space. You're not going to be looking at too many options. It keeps that scope pretty small. It's simple, direct decision making. And with that, let's get to the cons, though. And that is, this is clearly a streamlined version of a game. This is a game that sort of just like simplifies by chopping rather than streamlining. And you chop away a lot with this. And I think expectations need to be met in that regard. This is meant to be
a game, or it seemed like the initiative is like, we're making a simple game. It's even been in suggested by various discourses on forums and stuff, that this is supposed to be sort of a very simple game, an introductory game, and it is some things to yeah, rules wise, there's some gaps there, especially in the translation part, where there's things that just like, they're little things, but if you're a new time player, or you're just coming into it and going, oh, try this. This is a very simple game to easy get up on. It'll be fun. Um, it's not. There's like random greenhouses down or up. That's one of the ones, like, does it matter? No, but it trips you up, and you're like, what does it mean? Yeah, like, where do you discard stuff to? There's some gaps in here that are a little surprising for a game that's supposed to be introductory. A little more forgivable if it was like one of the deeper games. But then again, even then, they seem to cover a lot of bases. Here, it might be a translation issue. They don't. So beware of that if you're like, hey, I want to play a Uwe Rosenberg game that's very, very simple, because I just want to kind of dabble my feet. Um, I will say that the campaign is not really. I think it's not really. No, when you use the word campaign and story mode, I kind of want more than just that. I think it's a stretch to say that it is. It's Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. The blandness. I'm not going to say that this was an exciting game. It wasn't. For the people I tried it to, they're like, okay. I get it. Like, okay, visuals here, visuals there. There's a race. I mean, even the name of like, one of the things is the bonus. They don't even have a clever name. It's just like, the bonus. Once during your turn, instead of having to pay to move to a spot, you move to a spot and they pay you, which is a weird thing for new players to get. Like, what do you mean? Like, so they pay logistically, they're like trying to map their heads around it. Like, wait, I want to sit at this table. I want to pay you money. Oh, you don't have enough money. Well, your lucky day, because once per this per round, we're gonna pay you to sit here. Like, that's just kind of a hard. I get it, but like, the bonus doesn't do a lot of favors for explaining things. And honestly, given the amount of content here, I think it's pretty samey. I don't see a. I don't. There's Sure, you can always say there's lots and lots of variations, but I'm looking for significant variations and stuff, and I don't see that this had long-term appeal. To be honest, I wish it did, but I just don't see that it's going to for me. So in summary, I think the manual describes it best how I feel about this game from the time I first saw it on sale, at my local store, till the time I finished playing it. Was like, if you read the manual, it's like, read the snippet. In Iceland, you can climb volcanoes. You can marvel at the aurora borealis. You can count sheep. Okay, you can eat delicious tomatoes. Okay. I mean, that's kind of the flow of the game. Like, and that's for a paragraph. Like, why don't you start low and build up? Not start there in the skies and the universe, and then go down to basically mud and tomatoes. But that's kind of how I feel about the game. One thing, it's not terrible and it's not bad. There's nothing. There's really just nothing there that I can say, wow, you're gonna really want to introduce this to some new players, because they're gonna play and they're gonna be like, whoa, like, this is really fun. Didn't run into that with introducing it. The people that already have played Uwe Rosenberg are like, nah, this is kiddie table stuff. But the people I tried it to were like, it's okay. The problem is that Uwe Rosenberg, there are two games that I ended up trying, and I think Reykholt suffered from the fact that I played two Rosenberg games very close to each other that I was newly introduced to. One is Reykholt, and there's another review coming up called Nisfjord. And that game is everything that I need to introduce new players to the Rosenberg kind of systems. That game is everything that Reykholt is not. And so with that, I'm just going to leave you and say, you might want to check out that review, because where Reykholt falls like a flaccid fish on a rickety dock, Nisfjord shines as one of the best and approachable Uwe games that I've seen, and it will be the go-to game to introduce to you. Now I've done and spoiled the next review for you, but here we are. So anyway, Reykholt, definitely gonna put this on the wall. Beautiful art. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.